All right, good afternoon. My computer says 4 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I do want to let you know that we are recording this webinar. Lauren has already turned the recording on. This is an extra special session because Lauren and I are actually together. So we are usually far away during these webinars, but we are right next to each other. And we have the amazing Brian Whitson sitting here with us as well. So if I act at all distracted, it's got to be Brian. So we are happy to have you here for our next edition of our NC Coaching Collaborative webinar series. And today we were trying to think about what our topic could be. And at first we were like, should we have a webinar? It's right before NC Ties. And then we were thinking, but you know what? I bet not everybody gets to go to NC Ties. And that was kind of the thought behind this topic, because we don't always get to go to conferences. And so how do we stay connected with other coaches even when we're not attending conferences with them? So that is going to be what we take on today. Now, you'll note that there is going to be information shared in this webinar, but at the same time, this is going to be a real interactive experience. I've got some ideas on how I connect and establish and maintain my PLN, but we want to hear how you do this as well. So we're hoping that you are ready to share some of your tips for how you stay connected and how you can collaborate with other coaches outside of conference experiences. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we will get started. Again, Lauren has posted the slides in the chat, so feel free to get them. You'll note that they don't have a ton of information directly in those slides. However, you will also see that there are presentation handouts. So if you click the link right on the opening slide, it is going to give you detailed notes for each slide of the presentation. Again, that concept comes from the presentation Zen book that we talked about a few weeks ago. So let's go ahead and get started. So one of the things I learned through presentations then is that it's really important to be explicit about the why before a session. And so I really thought about why a session like this is important. And here's what I came up with. First of all, like I said a few minutes ago, we don't always get to go to conferences, especially as districts and individuals are tightening their purse strings. The opportunities to travel for these experiences seem to be getting slimmer and slimmer. And so it's important for us to find other ways where we can keep this connection going with other people that share similar roles. Additionally, opportunities for conferences are few and far between. So if I look at my calendar for 2025, I know that I'm going to be attending NC Ties in March, and I know that I'm fortunate enough to be going to ISTE in June. Those are two opportunities out of an entire year for me to connect with other coaches. And that's just not adequate for the level of collaboration that I'm interested in achieving for the betterment of the teachers and students whom I serve. And so I need to find other ways outside of conferences to connect. And then finally, this slide represents the idea that two heads are better than one. This was actually kind of a fun slide to design. And it's true. The sentiment behind it is true. I can come up with what I think might be a great idea for a PD session or for a resource that I'm developing or for a model lesson that I might want to create. But if only my brain is taking a look at that, and even if only my brain and my favorite generative AI tool is taking a look at it, I need some more influences, some more expertise, some more experiences to truly make it the best that it can be. In the book that we refer to a lot by Elena Aguilar, Arise, she talks a little bit about the need for collaboration, the need for interacting with other coaches. And she actually talks about it in the section where she's referring to a coach's credibility. And she says, this is on page 106. I wish credibility came from knowledge about and experience in facilitating learning for adults and from a coach's commitment to their own growth and learning. Implicit in this wish, in case you don't hear it, is the wish that all coaches would receive substantive training before they take on a role as a coach, as well as ongoing PD, and that they belong to an active professional learning community of coaches. Many times, when you serve in the role of a coach, you may be a singleton in your building. You may not have someone that you can reach out and touch that can look over something or share an idea with you. And so, being in roles like this is even more important that we're staying connected so that we continue to gain ideas from each other. Those slides kind of sum up the why we felt a session like this is important. So let's talk about current conditions. Think about your own PLN. How do you connect with others who coach? I am going to stop sharing and I'm going to ask you to either use the chat or unmute or a little bit of both and tell us how you currently are finding ways to connect with others who coach.
Well, I'll share. I did an awesome coaching cohort last year and connected with a whole bunch of coaches.
That is fantastic. I love hearing that you've been able to maintain those connections and those relationships. That is great. I can think back, and I know for me, it was a coaching collaborative. It was the NCBLCN where I first started creating my PLN for coaching. And I think about how many of those people are still actively in my PLN. I just saw Wanda Hanley a few minutes ago. She is an important member of my PLN. Um, I'm anticipating getting to see Jeannie Timken, who was like my savior when I started NCBLCN. And so those contacts have continued to be helpful to me throughout my coaching career ever since then. I'm seeing lots of responses about how social media can help. Various PDs, both virtual and face to face, co planning when you have similar work assignments, really great ideas. So we're going to touch on some of those pieces throughout today's session, but please feel free to chime in if you have ideas or even if you've used some of these ways in slightly different manners that you could share with us to expand on our connections as well. All right. So, one of the ways that I've actually recently started connecting with folks all across the nation, haven't had any international connections yet that I know of through this way, but I bet it won't be long until that happens. I have been using my ISTE membership that I get through the state of North Carolina, and they have some great coaching connections available through there. And so I wanted to let you know how you can access these. So on this slide, you can actually see the numbered steps so that you can access your ISTE coaching groups. So your first step is to go into your NCID cloud using your NCID, and then you can access your ISTE tile, which gets you into your free North Carolina ISTE membership. Once you're in your ISTE membership, if you scroll down just a little bit on your landing page, you will hit a space that says Member Community. And the first area on the left-hand side of the Member Community section says Connect. And so if you click on the link that says Go to Connect, that is going to open up memberships that are available for you. And you can search and find the ones that you're interested in. So for me, I immediately wanted to go into a job role group where I could connect with other coaches. And so when I went into job role, I was able to identify as an ed tech and instructional coach. And that linked me to a group of folks who are ed tech and instructional coaches. It is a very active group. I get messages that are posted in there on the feed every single day. I've opted to receive the notifications in my email inbox. And so this has been a really good place where I can quickly reach out and say, hey, I'm working on this. Anybody have any ideas? And I found it to be very responsive. So once you're in the group, this is what it would look like. So you can see what the header is going to look like up at the top. And one of the first things that you're going to see is the welcome, and that welcome is from Lauren Kelly. She is the person within ASCD and ISTE that manages this group. And I know I have been able to actually have quite a few conversations with her through this group. So she is very open to that communication opportunity as well. But you can see right within her welcome message, she's encouraging you to start conversations, to respond to other coaches who are looking for ideas, kind of look through the member directory and see, hey, there's somebody from this area, from that area, or even here's some of my friends from North Carolina who are in this group as well. You can find out about upcoming events. So they'll post opportunities that would match well with our coaching roles. And there's a lot of sharing of resources within this group as well. And so this has been a resource that I have really found valuable. Again, it's just a new addition to my coaching PLN. So I hope you'll take advantage of that with your ISTE membership. And I saw it when we were asking for your ideas of how you currently are connecting with other coaches, Facebook groups. And so Facebook is a fantastic way to coach. I know I will share ideas and opportunities on my regular Facebook feed, but also being able to join some closed groups that are job specific can really help you professionally. And so when Lauren and I were talking about this session, I was like, well, I'm a part of this group and this group and this group. And she was like, well, I'm a part of this group and this group and this group. And I bet you guys are a part of that group, and that group. So I wanted us to have an opportunity to share. And so on the next slide, you'll see that it is actually going to take you to a Padlet. So if you either click on the image or if you use the QR code, it is going to take you to a Padlet that looks like this. And I would like you to add the names of some Facebook groups that you are a part of that can help you with your role as a coach. So I'll give you a minute or two to kind of contribute to this Padlet so that we can see what Facebook groups our friends are a part of. I kind of started stuff off by adding a couple of my favorites there to give you some ideas. So as you're hopping in and collaborating, I'll just talk about the two groups that I shared. They are by two people that I follow pretty much any way that I can anyway. Control Alt Achieve is the Facebook group that is hosted by Eric Kurtz. And I just tend to always feel like what he's sharing is relevant to my work at that time. And so when I found out he had a Facebook group, I hopped right in. Another one of my gurus is Alice Keeler. She has a Facebook group called Teacher Tech. And one of the things that I thought was pretty interesting about her Facebook group is you really have to demonstrate your commitment to coaching and to being a professional. And so there are some questions and activities that you have to complete before you're welcomed into that Teacher Tech group. So I thought that was kind of interesting. All right. I see some other North Carolina specific Facebook groups that are fantastic. I know I have used them and relied on them a great deal in the past. Ooh, Gladys, I wasn't aware of that one. That one is going to be super fun. Ron Clark Anything is inspiring. Fantastic. Well, I'm going to keep things moving along, but if you've not yet had an opportunity to add a Facebook group that you're a part of that contributes to your coaching PLN, please feel free to do so. Oh, it's going to keep you in there. All right, I see ya. Let's go. I made the image so large based on my presentations then that it wasn't letting me proceed. All right, now I've got a little confession about this one. So I know people who use LinkedIn very, very successfully for professional development. I know originally I was like, I don't need to be on LinkedIn. I'm not looking for a job. And they were like, no, it's for professional development. I haven't figured it out yet. So I am hoping that there are some teachers in the room that can help us out. So is there a teacher in the room that can tell us a little bit about how they use LinkedIn for professional development?
I've taken a couple courses on research, and then I know someone as well that definitely uses LinkedIn for professional development. So she's got some AI certifications and some other types of certifications. So that's what I'm looking more into when it comes to LinkedIn.
Thanks, Gladys. Okay, well, it sounds like we all may have some research to do. I know on our team, Stacy and Vera use it quite a bit within their AI PLN. And so I guess I need to have a private tutoring session so that I can learn more about it. And I will share anything that I learn. I will add it right into the presentation notes so that you'll be able to see any learning that I gain along the way. But I did want you to know that if you are not currently a member of LinkedIn, that it is something that you can use for professional development and to connect with other people. I know I get requests on my membership all the time for someone else that wants to connect. And so I thought that it was the right thing to do to add it in this presentation, even if I freely admit that I am not an expert. All right, let's see what other resources are out there. So as I was starting my research for this particular webinar, I wanted to know if there were some networks out there that I could participate in that I didn't have to be on social media for, or that I didn't have to log into NC Ed Cloud for. Is there just something out there that I can easily go to access for networking? And sure enough, I found a group called the EduCoach Network. And this one is super accessible. And so literally all you have to do is go to the website down at the bottom of the screen, the educoachnetwork.com. This is what the landing page will look like once you become a member. You'll see it's not a huge group. So there are 729 members right now. I'm hoping you guys are going to increase that number just a little bit. But that number is large enough to really have some nice participation, some engagement, and yet not have it be so overwhelming that it's almost intimidating to participate. So I've circled a section on the bottom left corner of this landing page, and these are the components that you can access to help you with your PLN. So you'll notice there's the general feed, then there's challenges, meetups, and then there's a leaderboard, which is connected to those challenges. You can see on the very first message that you can see on the feed right now, that one of the facilitators is welcoming new members. And actually that list went on for quite a while, and they do this monthly. And so I look forward to seeing some of your names on the next monthly welcome. But let's dig into those sections that are available within this network. So on the feed, we can see that there's topics that were immediately relevant for me. So someone was saying they need some resources. They're going to be doing some PD to some teachers on differentiation. Please share any ideas that you have. And you can see that she actually received 3 responses, but one of them in particular struck me because someone was recommending the use of AI tools and sharing a little bit about how easy it is to differentiate materials when you're using some of the generative AI tools. So those are the types of conversations that you're going to see in this group on the feed. The other thing that I wanted to point out, so in the upper right-hand corner, you can see some examples of what their challenges are. And they have 2 categories of challenges. They have monthly challenges, which are different each month, and then they have what they call always-on challenges. And some of the always on challenges are really designed for the new folks who are joining the group. And so that's where I actually started with the challenges. I completed 2 of those always on challenges just so I could acclimate myself to the group. So I introduced myself. I did a little bit of a virtual meet and greet so that I could start making connections that way. The monthly challenges are a little bit more subject specific. So some of them I was super excited about, and then some of them I'm like, that's not something I'm working on right now, but it's nice to know that support exists out there for when I do need that information. As you're working on challenges, you're accumulating completion for those challenges, and that's where the leaderboard comes into play. So if you're someone that's super competitive, that can meet your needs. And then the final aspect that this particular group offers is these, what they refer to as meetups. But these are various kinds of webinars and roundtables and orientations where members of the group can join for a common interaction. And I got super excited about these. One of them is about feedback and reflective coaching conversations, which is actually a topic that I'm working on right now in terms of growing my coaching. Observation as a coaching tool. They have an orientation for their new members. So this is just, like I said, it's a new experience for me, but I'm really enjoying my interactions with the EduCoach Network so far. So this might be something that meets your needs as well. And then there's Blue Sky. I am super, super, super excited about Blue Sky. So I am one of those folks who had hopped on the Twitter wagon many years ago, and I only used Twitter for educational purposes, and I was constantly involved in Twitter chats, either facilitating them or joining them. I was connecting with teachers all over the world through these Twitter chats, and I was just learning a ton, and it really met my need for quick PD. Because as you guys may know about me, I'm really not typically the person that's going to sit down with a large educational text before I go to bed at night and read it. That's just not my preferred method of learning. But I could go on Twitter at that time, spend 2 minutes, and I could have 3 easy ideas that I could implement immediately. And so, as Twitter has evolved over the years, that was a piece that I found myself using less and less. And yet I missed that networking. I missed that professional development. I missed those connections. And so along comes Blue Sky. And there are questions resonating out there about whether or not Blue Sky is the new Twitter for teachers. And so I've linked an article here that talks about the number of teachers who are migrating over to Blue Sky. And so feel free to access that article to learn a little bit more about it. And then I've also included the blog by Eric Kurtz in his Control Alt Achieve blog that tells you how to get started in Blue Sky if you're an educator. And so if you click on that image that takes up most of the screen, that's going to open up this blog for you. And I followed the steps in this blog exactly to get started on Blue Sky. And so it told me how to set up my profile. It told me how to join various groups. It told me just everything I could possibly need to know about getting set up in Blue Sky. So I am now in Blue Sky. I have been having people follow me who are educators since I joined, which is pretty exciting. I've had positive responses when I've posted. I haven't posted much because I'm kind of starting out as a lurker, which is what I did on Twitter back in the day as well. But it has really been exciting to see that I can actually set up my Blue Sky account so that I only see the educational groups in my feed that I have selected. And so again, I am creating my Blue Sky profile to be used only professionally, and I'm really enjoying it so far. In this blog, along with the step-by-step directions for how to get started, Eric also shares the template that was designed. I've given credit down at the bottom by Carly Mara, and she designed this template in Canva so that you can share your Blue Sky information as you get started in the group, so that we can follow you and start collaborating with you in that way. There are some really big names who are helping this educational movement on Blue Sky. And as I mentioned earlier, Eric Kurtz and Alice Keeler are two of my favorites, and they are very involved in this movement, which also makes it extremely appealing to me. Is anyone else out there on Blue Sky yet? I'm going to stop sharing and see if the group has any thoughts about Blue Sky. Yay, Gladys is. Someone followed me. Thank you. Yay, the great Brian Whitson is. Fantastic. Well, I look forward to seeing you there. I'm working it in my calendar because they have Blue Sky chats that are very much like the old Twitter chats. And there are some on a very regular schedule. And so I just need to work those into my schedule so that I can start collaborating with those as well. All right, so we've talked a little bit about LinkedIn. We've talked about Blue Sky. We've talked about the EduCoach Network. We've talked about the ISTE connections. So those are some ways that we have thought of where we can really build our PLN. But what we want to know is what you're going to do with this information about PLNs. So kind of why did you join today? Why were you interested in this topic? And what are your next steps in terms of growing and maintaining your PLN? It's not letting me advance, so I'm going to stop sharing and do a little bit of investigating. All right, I will try again. This is really very much what my entire day has been like today. Let's see. There we go. All right, so all we want to know is what are some actions you're planning on taking to really dig in with your PLN, especially as opportunities to really get out in face-to-face situation with others seem to dwindle just a little bit. How are you going to maintain these connections and these relationships? And then also, are there any questions that you have around the idea of coaching connections?
Jennifer, I don't know why this just popped into my mind, but I'm not sure if you remember when um, there were some of the Rethink cohorts, and in each region they would have like just a meetup. And so kind of like diving into, even in just my district, like, hey, remember your rethink education batch? Let's all just do a meetup after school, just so everyone can reconnect. Because sometimes I think even within our district, people that do those different things, we lose that connection with them, and they're right here.
That is so true. That is a great idea. Oh, I love me some Catlin Tucker. Good thinking. All right, we seem to be a quiet group today, which is just fine. I'm loving the conversations in the chat.
Jennifer, this is Brian. One thing that I really want to stress is the importance of setting a manageable goal with your PLN and not overwhelming yourself. One time, someone really smart said something to me to the effect of set a goal that you know you can obtain fairly easily. Don't try to shoot for the moon and be a superstar. That way, you're less likely to fall short. So maybe your goal is to look at one time a week on Blue Sky and find an article that you can tie into your PLN somehow or your own development. So keep it a simple goal that's manageable so you build up that success over time and have those good intentions reinforced.
That is a great thought, Brian. Because, yeah, sometimes I know I get into my head a little bit about I'm not participating in this enough. I forget to go and do this. But really making it a very manageable goal so that you can truly be consistent. And then once you're consistent, it becomes a habit. So that's a great idea. We know that tonight's session is a little bit brief. There is a lot going on for folks right now, but we do want to remind you that we have 3 webinars left. So the great Lauren is going to be presenting around Resonate and Relate, Designing Adult Learning with Purpose on March 18th. And then she will follow up with sculpting stability. Isn't that a fancy title? Guiding emotional growth as a coach. And then we will finish up on tax day, April 15th, with when your nerves are taxed. That is actually going to be research coming from Elena Aguilar around emotions and how we can control our emotions when we are coaching so that we can have effective coaching conversations. Please join us for these future webinars. You'll see the link to register for them on Eventbrite is down below. And now we have breaking news. You are the first to hear it, and you're going to hear it here. Lauren?
So, by popular demand from the coaches of North Carolina, we are launching the Arise book study. Brian, are you muted? Oh, will you mute? Sorry. I heard myself several times. Is that what was your whole time? Okay. Oh, this is a lot. All right, so join the book study. The link at the bottom of your screen here, that will take you to a NESIS registration, and you will be able to register for the book study, and then it's going to take you into Canvas. The way that we're going to run this is every chapter we're doing 2 weeks. So there's 15 chapters, and so that's going to be a long time, but we figured 1 week is not enough. 1 month is too much. So that's why we kind of met in the middle with 2 weeks. And so we are going to have, like I said, a Canvas course. There's going to be reflection opportunities. You can earn up to 2 CEUs for participating in that. Unfortunately, we cannot provide a book for everybody. So if you don't have a book, you will need to purchase your own. I will show you how I nerd out. Jen said she doesn't sit down with her book every night and read. I try to do it in the morning, but I have a little guide for myself of what tabs and what colors mean what. Jen's got her. All right, so that's what Jen's looks like. She has yarn, all kinds of papers. Where mine is nice, neat, and color coded and organized. That gives me anxiety. So however you like to read, we would love for you to join us for the NC Coach book study for Arise. Register if you have any questions. Feel free to email Jen or myself, and we'll be happy to get you in. And it's starting now. So the course is live. Feel free to read ahead. I've got the first 3 modules or the first 3 chapters already done. And we'll work on getting the rest of them done this week. So excited. All right, I'm turning it back over to Jen.
I have a question. When I tried this link, I am ending up in Rapid Identity or somewhere weird. So is it the go.ncdpi link, or is there something different?
It's that if you're not already signed into your NC Ed Cloud, the way that I set this up is it's registering through NESIS, which is your NC Ed Cloud. So that as soon as you finish that last reflection, NESIS will automatically generate your CEU certificate. So you won't have to wait on me to do anything like that.
Okay, I'm in. Yeah. All right. Thanks
for being our guinea pig, though.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other questions? All right. Well, thank you for joining us. If you are at NC Ties, then I look forward to seeing you. If not, then I am going to see you on Blue Sky or ISTE or the EduCoach Connect network. And so I look forward to continuing to work with you in my PLN. Thanks so much.